Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Retro Bill, More Books, Canna Bear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, Ben White, Maximum Gravy, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Morning, Nathan.
Who's that, Stevie?
Hey, Neil. Yeah. Sorry. We were just...
How's everything?
Good. Good. Thank you.
It sucks ass.
Hey Mitch.
G'day, how are you? How's everyone?
I'm good.
Very good. Neil, I thought you were going to be in a sub-cellar. Good to see you.
Yeah, no, I'm not there right now. I'm looking for adhesive, but that's where I'll be. So no show for me today.
No, can't miss the show.
What's up with that RV truth guy? I listened to that show yesterday. Boy, is he paranoid.
I don't think he's paranoid. What makes you think he's paranoid?
Come on, everybody's a shill. David Weiss is a shill now. This guy's a shill. He spoke well of you, so I'm glad about that.
I didn't get that far into his stream, clearly. Okay. I don't want to get involved in that. Did I not put out a video explaining exactly that? All I want to do is disseminate better flat earth arguments to these people. You know what I mean?
They're not going to come here. That's what I was trying to say the other day. They're picking and choosing who they're going to annihilate.
No. I'm talking about Dave Weiss and RV.
I know.
Did you get an invite, Nathan, to one of the shows? Did you say you were going to be talking
RV specifically said at some point I must have you on my show. And, I chatted with him for 2 or 3 hours. And at the end, he was like, it's a shame this wasn't recorded. It would have made a great show. And I was like, yeah, definitely would have done. And he's like, well, we must do that at some time. And I was like, yeah, sure, we'll have to set that up. But yeah, like I say, I then went in to watch his show live, and I just got distracted. My wife and I got distracted with various other things before it got started. So then in the morning, I woke up and David got in touch and said, well, don't worry about what Dave said. Let's just concern ourselves that he got in touch. So then I ended up in a back and forth between both of them, just letting them know both of the scores. I screenshot all the messages that I'd taken for one of them and spoken about the other and vice versa, so they could see what I was saying to each other. And that was it, basically. I was like, I don't want to get involved in this tete-a-tete between Dave Weiss and RV. But then I did watch the first 5 minutes of RV's stream, which is all I had time for. And he almost immediately said exactly that. And I was like, oh, great. If I'd have actually watched his stream, I'd have known not to have sort of prefaced what I said to RV with, can we not talk about Dearth? Look, I appreciate you've got your issues with him, but I don't want that to be something I have to deal with. And that was pretty much the sentiment he put across on his live stream. I don't want to say I was punching the ceiling, you know what I mean, punching the air when he said it, but I was very pleased that he'd said that, I'm not going to lie. I was also really pleased that he'd immediately gone and said, again, within that first 5 minutes, the elevation angle argument's a critically important argument that we all need to understand. I was like, great.
Yeah, he did say that within the first... He said it throughout this show that you had nothing to do with it. So, oh well.
It's not the first time he's mentioned it, so Nathan, he shouted out you before on his stream, so he's a fan, so it'll be great exposure to get on his stream. He gets hundreds of people. But bloody 5 hours, 6 hours. He does massive streams. I don't know how he gets so many people. He's got a great following. So to get on his stream and talk about elevation angles, the things that we're talking about here, would be awesome.
It's amazing he's got as big a channel as he does as many times as he's been shut down.
Yes, very true. I'm having, I don't know if this is true, and I won't mention it again after this moment, but my screens are tearing like crazy. So if this makes it onto the recording and you're watching this epilepsy-inducing nonsense that I'm having to put up with on my screens, then my apologies. Hopefully it's not making its way to the recording. It seems to be, though. Let's just move OBS onto a different page or onto my projector, see if it's flashing over there.
Or are you saying what you're saying? Because there's nothing here.
What? No. On what's being recorded, what I can see is it tearing. The screens are tearing like crazy, and I don't know why.
It's the Matrix.
It's the Russians.
Pardon? The Russians?
It's the Russians.
No, I just think there's a conflict of some software somewhere. And the 2 or 3 hours I spent researching it over the last week didn't get me anywhere.
I can see why QE has labeled us the conspiratorial side.
It's the Russians.
Good morning.
Hey, Tim.
Oh, God.
Hey, Nathan, how's the sound? I'm back home.
Yeah, you sound great.
All right. What show is this today?
16:30.
Okay.
Hey, did anyone catch Flatzoid's video he just put out that Nathan shared?
Yeah.
That was awesome. That
Carry
was
on.
so good. Are you up for playing any audio? Because I trimmed out a bit. Would you play audio from MC Toon's channel, or are you not into that?
I don't mind. What have you trimmed out? How can I play it?
I'll send through Skype, see if you want to play it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind.
At this point, there's nothing they can say that won't be humiliating.
Sorry to kill the conversation. Just try and look for it. Well, there's two things. There's him saying that nobody has attempted his challenge, his big challenge that apparently everyone's scared of. But there was someone, this Brian Leakey, that came on and gave him the coordinates, and MC2 was like, "Yeah, that's right. Like, what gives? Why hasn't he got the money?" Not that I really care, but
Oh, he didn't pay? Oh, what a surprise!
what I was more interested in is MC2 talking about triangulation and that sort of thing, contradicting himself. That's what I'm trying to look for here.
McToons is
Did
a
you
meatball.
not follow? I mean, I watched Flatsour's video and got the sentiment of why that was the case just from what he said. Did you not pick up on that? Because if so, I'll tell you. Toon's whole shtick is to say everything's a globe. So if it's a flat map using Cartesian coordinate, that's a globe. I mean, he's delusional, but his claim is to say that everything being used is based on a globe, therefore can't be used. So when Brian did that, I think he even prefaced it in Flatsoid's trimmed out bit of it, was to say, but he used a globe. It's like, did he? No. We're pointing out that if you're going to suggest that a bastardization of flat Earth elevation angle measurements is using a globe, you've got another thing coming. But like I say, I think it's up to 78 renditions I've given Toon to that, and he just sticks his head in the sand. So what use is it? You know, he's just a weasel. Why Brian would be engaged with him, I don't know. I mean, more power to him. It's good that there's an example that's showing, no, this is easily done. What's that you say? It's using a globe? No, it definitely isn't. And if you want to say that one section of it was actually globular, which none of it was, if you're using Cartesian coordinate system, you can have to accept the fact that it's come from a flat Earth elevation angle measurement to derive that so-called globe in the first instance.
He's forgetting that when he says it's a globe, he's always referencing the tangent plane they need, which means it's a flat Earth first.
That's exactly
correct.
that. Much more concise, much better. Yes, 10th, precisely.
Yeah,
Well, this is where John. I was just going to comment on you, John, because you're running with this, and I want you to go faster and faster with it because you've totally got them cornered. So go ahead and give us your wisdom.
yeah, I was going to say that on the live show, I was going to issue a challenge to any baller out there. They can choose the platform, the moderator, and they can even choose topics that we're not allowed to discuss. They can even choose the model that I will defend.
Oh,
I'll
boy.
debate 'em.
Do you not see the beauty in what John just said?
Yes, I do.
Bring it on, Globers, because at the end, you're using a tangent plane for everything, which means flat baseline.
Is this to Hoveland or is this to everyone?
Everyone.
Yeah, let them come. That's at this point they don't have anything. They just
Neil-
have our stuff.
Neil
They're claiming.
deGrasse, too.
Yeah, like if I was going to debunk the existence of dogs and I carried around a Chihuahua as proof dogs didn't exist, people would look at me like I was crazy, right?
Yes, indeed.
That's where they're at.
Come on, John.
Now, Chihuahua would be analogous to the flat Earth elevation angle measurement that is required to derive a globe belief from. Unlucky fundies.
Kind of funny, Brian. You came in at the mention of a dog without the. "Arr."
I just was thinking the other day, what can they use that's actually a globe proof first? And there's nothing.
Nothing.
There's
There isn't
absolutely
anything. There isn't anything. And obviously, notwithstanding the fact they beg the question of a globe, but that's a logical fallacy in itself. But if you ignore that, no, there isn't any. That was back to the days when I said 99.9% of the time they will have to assume a sphere Earth first. But that was prior to me realising that that assumption of a sphere came from a flat plane measurement. But there we go, such is life, you advance your arguments, and I'm very pleased we have.
In that, guys,
It's
it's pretty echoing. On that subject, I woke up at about 3 o'clock this morning thinking about all this, and I just scribbled a few words down. It's just a short, basic poem, if you'd like me to read it.
Dear Jesus. Oh, do you say poem?
You're
Oh,
praying,
God.
Nathan. You're praying,
It's
Nathan.
only
My
a-
prayers are answered.
It's only a short one.
Yeah, go ahead. Mike's all yours.
All right. It's called The Globe is Flat. The globe is flat. It's measured like that. The globe is flat. The Greeks all knew that. They measured angles using sticks and shadows. The globe must be flat for horizontal shadows. Al-Biruni knew the earth was flat. He measured the height of a mountain like that. And when I was a sailor navigating the sea, the surface of the ocean appeared very flat to me. Triangulation on the surface of Earth, all achievable with not one use of a curve. The end.
That was brilliant.
Nice.
I'm going to trim that out. That was excellent.
Beautiful.
Speaking of
Beautiful.
which,
Well done.
this is exemplified. What you've just detailed is Sly Sparkane, who was let's just call him my favourite troll, released a video summarising a lot of the arguments that were pre-2020. And I just spent, I don't know, half an hour going through it, listening to it, and then typing out a timestamp that says, this is a flat earth proof, that's a flat earth proof, this required a flat earth, that required a flat earth, welcome to flat earth, you've measured a flat... That's what I did, just went through it, timestamping all the times he'd measured a flat earth. Because he has. It's got all sorts of sticks and shadows, elevation angles, you name it. He's got the lot. Epic. Now, people like Sly Sparkane maybe haven't caught up with this, don't realise it yet, but I'm going to be the first to tell them. Yeah, most of the shit that you put out between 2014 and 2020 was actually proving a flat earth. You just didn't realise it, and neither did we. We just thought we should argue about a false dichotomy of two models and how the models work, and didn't look at the fact that your model was measured from a flat plane, and so were the measurements you're comparing it to. So it's going to be a humiliating next couple of years.
Yeah, that's going to be my favorite part. If anybody takes me up on my offer when they bring their model out, just that's going to be great.
Yeah, get them arguing for their model, and at some stage point out to them how their model's actually a flat plane, and all they're doing is proving a flat plane with every breath they muster to detail how they think it's a globe, when in reality what they're arguing for is a flat plane in all instances, because they're all derived from flat planes. There is no exception. And when you're measuring to verify with your juxtaposition taken from a flat plane, the fact remains that they are taking angles off a flat plane to do so. None of them have seen it. We didn't. More fool us. Now we have. It's going to be an embarrassing exposure for every single globe proof ever. Starting with Slice Barcane.
That's what stood out when I started reading the books on celestial navigation, that they know you can't get an elevation angle from the curved surface of a presupposed sphere. So they can't even do it from there. So where's the only place on a sphere, or should I say in a sphere, that you can have a flat plane? Well, they cut it in half, go to the center, and create a flat plane, a disk. And all elevation angles for celestial navigation come and emanate from there. Big problem, nobody's there.
So they cut
Michael.
an imaginary Earth in half, and they go to the flat plane that's in the imaginary cut in half globe, and they get all their measurements, but it's really on the surface. Oh,
Exactly.
It's the other way around. So what they say is the surface, they then later claim is actually the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth transposed down from an angle that you can't get on the surface. But in reality, you're just taking an angle from the surface, and what they're depicting as a flat disk in the middle of a sphere just uses the flat disk in the middle of the sphere to measure the angles out to the stars. Therefore, the sphere bit that they claim you should be or shouldn't be taking it down from or up to, if you're projecting down from it and claiming you're measuring it when you can't from a curve, or if you're starting at the centre and saying, well, it actually represents the ground above me that I'm not stood on when I stand in the centre of it. Either way, what you're measuring is an elevation angle from that flat plane they describe, and that's representative of the ground. So what are you actually doing? Well, nothing to do with the sphere Earth, everything to do with the flat plane.
Guys, it's real simple. They just do, it's like, quick, Michael, hit the center of the Earth mode button.
Yeah, but that button doesn't, that button, as jokey as I know you're being, would never work, because to get to that button, you'd first have to take an angle, wouldn't you? So if you're talking about centre of the presupposed spherical Earth button to transpose down the angle taken from the sphere, you can't do that. So what are they going to take down with them? They haven't got an angle measuring acquisition possibility on a sphere. It's never going to be done ever. So the angle's always measured on a flat plane. Then, when they measure it on a flat plane, they then say it's moved down to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. It's like, well, you haven't used your curved surface, so why are you justifying moving it to the centre when what you do at the centre is just an equatorial plane, and you plot that out like it's the ground beneath you, and you don't make any corrections for the sphericity because you're not on any sphericity at that point. You're on a plane, a flat plane, that's got nothing to do with your sphere around it, that you just draw arbitrarily around the flat plane you're actually navigating.
Nathan, you remember the picture that I've shown of the airplane doing celestial navigation? It's got a horizontal line, and you're 30,000 feet, and they're using that horizontal line. And then you've got a picture of a boat on the curved surface, and it's got a tangent plane, another horizontal line. And then it's got one in the middle where they cut the Earth in half. So you got 3 tangent planes, 3 horizontal lines from which angle measurements can be taken. The one thing that you can't ever get an angle measurement from is a curved surface, and they don't even show that.
Right, so you end up with a hodgepodge mess of them drawing lines that are straight and flat all over spheres, just to confuse you. It's like, yeah, but none of them are actually accounted for in that way. They're just measured on a flat plane, dealt with on a flat plane. That's all you do.
Exactly, it's just to confuse us. But we're
that's
on
not-
to their trick.
That's not their model. Their model is a celestial sphere model. That it's a flat plane inside of a celestial sphere.
Let me read you.
None of that has the magic of the center of the Earth mode button. It's like right next to the turbo boost, man.
Let me. John's going to like this. Let me read this to you, John. This is on the right ascension and declination celestial sphere model. Declination: the Earth's equator projected onto the celestial sphere becomes the celestial equator or equinoctial. The fixed primary great circle of reference from which angular measurement is taken from any point on the celestial sphere to the northward or southward of it. An angular distance from the equinoctial is called declination. It is always expressed in degrees. Declination on the celestial sphere is exactly the same as latitude on the Earth. Thus, the declination of the observer's zenith is his latitude. The declination of all heavenly bodies used by the navigator is tabulated in the nautical almanac. How convenient, using the disk center of a presupposed globe and shooting it out all the way to the celestial sphere, matching the equinoctial, the same thing, all the way out.
Yeah, but you couldn't even form that without the Earth being flat, you know? Like, they're so screwed.
Yeah, but it's flat, meaning that whole thing is based on a flat plane that just doesn't end at the extremities of a ball. It goes all the way to the celestial sphere, that disk.